bodies on the earth. So in the last class we had a look at the different oceans which were found on the surface of the earth. But besides the oceans, now there are other small water bodies which are found on the surface of the earth. So today we are going to have a look at the other minor water bodies which are found on the surface of the earth. Now the first minor water body are the seas. So we all have to know what seas are. Okay. Now seas are also big water bodies but are definitely smaller than oceans. So in comparison to the oceans, the seas are much smaller in size. So they are partly enclosed by a landmass and open into the ocean. So they are very close to the land and then it spreads out into the ocean. A continuous body of salt water, usually a region within an ocean, is known as a sea. So usually the sea water is salty. Now we will have a look at the distribution of some of the important seas in the world. So in this particular world map, you can see that in between North America and South America, you have the Arabian Sea. And in the north of Africa, you can see the Mediterranean Sea. In Asia, you can see the Caspian Sea, the Red Sea. And then in Europe, you have the Beaufort Sea. And if you have a look at India, okay, towards the western side of India, you have the Arabian Sea, then you have the South China Sea, then you have the Sea of Okhotsk, and then you have the Bering Sea. And there's another sea which is very close to Australia, that is the Coral Sea. So these are just some of the important seas which are found on the surface of the earth. But besides these, there are other number of seas also which are distributed on the earth's surface. Now these are some of the pictures of the seas which are found on the surface of the earth. Now, some examples of seas are the Mediterranean Sea, the Red Sea, the Arabian Sea, and the Baltic Sea. Now, the next minor water body is a bay. Now, what is a bay? A body of water partly enclosed by a land but having a wide outlet to the sea, often smaller than a gulf, is known as a bay. That means a body of water is there. Okay? It is very close to the land, but the rest part of the water meets the ocean. Now, it is a body of water partially surrounded by land. So this is known as a bay. So it is enclosed by land, but the rest part of it meets the ocean. It is a body of water which is partially surrounded by land with a wide mouth which opens into the sea. So here you can see, okay, the location of Bay of Bengal. So Bay of Bengal is in the southeastern side of India. But the water, it goes and meets the Indian Ocean. It is enclosed in the land, but it goes and meets the ocean. Body of water which is partially surrounded by land with a wide mouth which opens into the ocean. So here you can see the Bay of Bengal which is in the southeastern part of India. So it is enclosed by land, but the rest of the water goes and meets the Indian Ocean. So this is how your bay looks like. So part of it is enclosed by land and the rest goes and meets the sea. Now some examples of bay are the Bay of Bengal, the Hudson Bay and the Bay of Biscay. Now Gulf. A gulf is a large area of sea or land partially enclosed by a land. So more or less your bay and gulf is quite similar. Okay, but what you can see is a gulf is more enclosed by the land. That means the water body goes deeper into the land in comparison to the bay. A gulf is a portion of the ocean that penetrates into the land. Now this is how your gulf looks like. See, the water body goes deep into the land. Okay, and then it meets the rest of the water bodies. It is going deeper into the land and it meets the rest of the water bodies. Now examples of Gulf are Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of Carpentaria, Gulf of Aden and the Persian Gulf. Now strait. Now what is a strait? A narrow passage of water between two large bodies of water. So you can see the water bodies, isn't it? Two water bodies are there, and on either side of the two water bodies you have the land. So what the strait does is it joins the two water bodies, okay, but it separates the land mass. It is a narrow body of water that connects two large water bodies. See, it is connecting the two large water bodies, but it is separating the land this way. Now, you can have a look at more pictures of a strait. See, water body is there, the other water body is there, so it is connecting, isn't it? So two water bodies are connected, but it separates the land masses. So here also, two land masses are there, but it is being connected by a narrow strip of water. Okay, so this is known as a strait. Yeah. Now at the tip of India also, that means you have the Park Strait. It separates India from Sri Lanka, but joins the Bay of Bengal with the Indian Ocean. So this is a strait. Now examples of strait are the Bering Strait, the Park Strait and the Strait of Gibraltar. Now next one is your isthmus. So what is an isthmus? A narrow strip of land connecting two large masses of land. So now isthmus is a narrow stretch of land. So what does this narrow stretch of land do? It joins two large land masses but separates the water bodies. So this is an isthmus. Now let's have a look at isthmus. See, you can see the narrow stretch of land which joins two large land masses but separates the water bodies. So it is a narrow strip of land with water on both sides that connects to larger land masses. Example, the Isthmus of Panama connects Costa Rica and South America and is between the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean. Now you can see here. So the Isthmus of Panama, it connects North America with South America but separates the two water bodies, that is the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean. Understood? Okay. So this is your North America. This is your South America. So it is connected by a narrow strip of land, and that is known as an isthmus. So this is how your isthmus looks like. Okay. Two land masses are being joined by a narrow stretch of land, but is separating the two large water bodies. Now, we move on to the glaciers. Now, what are glaciers? A large mass of slow moving ice formed from compacted snow is known as a glacier. So these glaciers are usually visible in the mountainous region. Okay, so huge mass of ice that slowly slips down the mountain ranges is known as a glacier. And many of the glaciers give rise to a number of rivers, because after some time the glacier is going to melt, isn't it? So after the melting takes place, then it gives rise to your different rivers. So these are some pictures of your glaciers. So this is how your different glaciers look like. It is a huge mass of ice found usually in the mountainous region. Okay, and it will give rise to your rivers, because after some time the glacier is going to move down, isn't it? Move downwards because of force of gravity, and then after some time it begins to melt. So because of the melting, it gives rise to your rivers. Now the next minor water bodies are your lakes. So what are lakes? Now let's have a look at what lakes are. Now, lake is a large body of natural water surrounded by land. So water is there and it is surrounded by land. Rivers and mountain streams feed most of the lakes. So there may be one or more streams draining into a lake. So lakes occupy about 1.8% of the Earth's surface. So the word lake comes from the Greek word lakos, meaning hole or pond. Lake water may be slowly moving out of the basin depending upon the inflow. Now, it is a large, sometimes a lake might be very large also, sometimes it can be small also. Body of water surrounded by land. So, you can see the land and you can see the water in between. So this is how your lake looks like. Now a lake doesn't have a current because it is there standing still. Can be salt water or fresh water, but usually fresh water surrounded by land. Lakes can be natural or man-made. So sometimes a hole might be there, isn't it, on the surface of the earth, and then the water gets filled in that particular hole. And then you can get a lake. Otherwise, people can also build a lake. Larger and deeper than ponds. Now these are some lakes which are found in India also. The Chilka lake is there. The Dal lake is there. Okay, now there are other lakes which are found in other parts of the world. So the Caspian Sea is also a lake in Russia. Okay, so the Caspian Sea is the largest enclosed body of water on Earth by area. So variously classed as the world's largest lake or a full-fledged sea. So it is in Russia. Then you have Lake Victoria. Okay, Lake Victoria is there in Africa, found in Africa. Then you have Lake Huron in America. Is also one of the 5 great lakes of North America. Okay, so it is also a lake there, natural lake. And then Lake Titicaca is also there in South America. Now, lakes are good places for fishing, boating, swimming, water skiing and ice skating. In several parts of the world, lakes have become good and enjoyable recreational sites and become an important tourism industry. So the lake is not only there for show, okay, but fishing can take place there. A lot of tourist activities can also take place in the lake. So sometimes when the lake is frozen, isn't it? Water skiing can also take place there. Ice skating can also take place there. So lakes are highly sensitive to natural calamities like floods and droughts and man's activities, especially to pollution. So sometimes what happens is Now if there is a heavy rainfall, or if an area receives a very large amount of rainfall, then what is going to happen? The lake is going to be flooded. Isn't that means there's going to be extra water, so the extra water is going to spill, or it is going to go to the other places, thereby causing floods. And sometimes the place might not receive water for quite some time. So if it doesn't receive water for a very long time, what happens? The lake is going to get dried, okay, because of the drought. Since there's no availability of water, the lake might dry out. Or sometimes the lake gets polluted because of the men's activities. That means the people's activities. That means they might be polluting the lake, isn't it? So they might be throwing garbages in the lake, or maybe sometimes the lake might have fishes, so they might be feeding the fish with a large amount of food materials, thereby polluting the lake. So these are some of the minor water bodies found on the surface of the earth. Okay? So we shall continue with the explanation in the next class, and for your homework, make sure you go through your textbook, read your textbook once, and then for your homework we will be sending the home assignment through your WhatsApp group. Stay home, stay safe, and at the same time listen to your parents also. Don't give trouble to your parents. Have a nice day. Thank you.